and the moderator for today's session. We have 20 short minutes and we'll hear from 4 talented principals who will share both challenges and opportunities that they have experienced to refine existing systems at their school sites. To meet the needs of these challenging times, these principals have been pushing learning forward and rising to the level of their goals. If you have any questions throughout the session, please use the chat. And then our principal panel, if you want to check the chat following your sharing and answer any questions that principals might have. So we're going to get started here with Dr. Alice Lee, who's going to talk to us a little bit about schedules, to-do lists, and staff wellness.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I have props, not slides for you all, but I'm the principal at Richmond Street Elementary School. I've been there 7 years at my site, 10 years in El Segundo Unified. And I was just thinking, like, what would be a good thing to share with my fellow colleagues? And I think the first one is schedules. And I don't know how you work your day, but I know when I first started admin, I relied on my Google Calendar only, and would get often very overwhelmed with the 5 million things. You have shared calendars and you're looking at all these things. And so what I discovered, I'd love to share, and I hope they pay me one day to see, but it's called a Full Focus Journal. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but it's called a Full Focus Journal, and I won't share everything, but there's something that they have here. It's called the Daily Big Three. And so I use my Google Calendar, but I also use this thing where it's just the Daily Big Three, where you put what are the top 3 things that has to get done today? Because another thing, we were using notebooks and all these things, and it just made me crazy because everything comes in, the kids come in, and it just ruins what you have planned. But having this Daily Big Three was a life changer for me as an administrator. I think I did this starting year 3 as a principal, and then you just kind of list all these other tasks that you need to complete for the day, and then whatever you get done, there's this visceral reaction you get when you get to check off something. But the Daily Big Three, so this I wanted to share with you. This is my life changer, and I use this. I'm on a subscription, so it's in 3-month things. I have stacks of this in my office, but I swear this is it's changed my life. So I highly, highly recommend you guys using some kind of system to journal or to have something. I love the Full Focus Journal. It's amazing. There's all those other things where you put your goals for the quarter, blah, blah. I don't use that part. I just use it for the daily, for the daily stuff. Another thing is looking at your Google Calendar, what are your priorities? What are the non-negotiable things that you have to get done? For me, especially coming back from COVID, it was all a mess. I don't know if you guys remember January. It seems like eons ago, but January was very long. And our priority is, for me, always it's my why is to be in the classrooms and to observe good instruction and to give teachers good feedback. So I made sure that in my calendar, at least in my Google Calendar, I put slots for at least 4 days a week where I'm walking around the campus for an hour, hour and a half to visit classrooms. And so that it's plastered on there. No, I don't put it in my daily, my Full Focus planner, but I do have it on my calendar and I block that time out. So I would definitely encourage you to think about what are your non-negotiables, put it on your calendar, have it recurring so that you make that happen. And the last thing I want to share with you when we're thinking about refining our practices is staff wellness. If your school was anything like mine, coming back from COVID was a hot mess. There was trauma, there was tears. Last year, we had to come back in November of 2021 before vaccines. It was chaos. And our once beautiful, cohesive school kind of crumbled into this disaster zone. Anyway, so this year we really focused on staff wellness. And so what I did was I'm doing semesterly 15-minute one-on-one check-ins. So I created a Candly. You guys can do that on your on the website, and I just put on slides that I was available, and then I asked teachers, it was an invitation, please sign up for one 15-minute check-in, and I brought them a snack, basically a wellness bar or pop chips or something. And when I went in, I asked them 2 questions. One was, how are you? And it had nothing to do, if they wanted to talk about school, we can talk about school. And the second question that I asked them was, how can I support you? And it went really well. And of course, as you talk to teachers, it kind of goes longer than the 15 minutes. Sometimes they do it during their preps, but for me, it was a really nice way to reconnect with our staff. on a very personal level. And so our second semester, the spring one, is coming up in a couple of weeks. So those are mine.
Thank you so much, Alice. I love the staff wellness idea. That is awesome to have that one-on-one time with them. So thank you so much for sharing. We are going to move into Kathy Anderson. Kathy's the principal at Hoover Elementary in Whittier City. Kathy, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I wanted to share my screen if that's all right. I just had a little. Is that possible? There we go. Thank you. All right. So, as you know, we're focused on refining a system. And so one of the things that happened during distance learning for all of our teachers was a lot of it just because of the need at the time. The focus was so much on how do we deliver via Zoom and utilize different tech platforms that many teachers were kind of working on an island. So the systems we had in place for collaboration and really looking at student work to guide our instruction kind of had to take a back burner seat and not at the fault of anyone else. So what we did was my MTSS TOSA that we just got this year as a school district, we got together and we discussed what can we do to really ground this, because we know there's the perception is there's this huge learning gap. We've always had a learning gap, right? But that the gaps are in different places now. So what we decided to was, hey, let's look at the student work, because the student work is going to tell us a lot. It makes that learning visible. So I always really believe in leading with purpose and knowing why I should be doing something. So it really makes that learning visible and just kind of normalizes things. The work is going to show what students need. It sparks reflective conversations about how are we going to actually teach it. And ultimately will provide a clear focus, strength and best practices, and increase student growth and achievement, and really build the conversations around it. So this is really the system that we're doing. It's basically, we ask teachers to bring all of their student work, and that's, I think, one key difference. Normally, we would have them just bring maybe 10 samples, random samples, but having them bring their entire classwork and take about 7 to 10 minutes to sort it into piles. And, kind of like, I hate to say like a high, a medium, highest need, group, but that it was just kind of, that was for us also. It helped kind of us calibrate how are we as individuals calibrating what's high, what's kind of getting there, and what's the highest need, and then having discussions around it. So we had them take about 7 to 10 minutes to sort their unpublished writing or their exit tickets with math. And I'll tell you, we really chose writing to go with it because of all of the ways it can be used. And then on the top of each pile, we had them write 2 strengths of each pile that they saw and 3 needs for each pile. After they've done that on their student work, then they discover, what is the student work actually telling us? What are some common strengths and what are some common needs? They share out, then, and this is done in a grade level team group, or it could even be, I'm going to just talk about the grade level team group before I get big. Then they decide, what will we actually focus on as a grade level team? And what can we focus on in our whole group instruction and then in our small group instruction? So they pick one need, one common need that they're seeing across both classrooms. And they say, what is it that we agree to accomplish in the next 2 weeks? Because we're going to bring, that will determine the student work where they're going to bring and the lens they'll look at it for. And then they collaborate on the how. How are we actually going to teach this, and where in the curriculum can we meet this? Can we do this during our word work? Can we do this during interactive writing? How can we tuck some strategies into our small group differentiation during our readers and writers workshop? How do I model this in my interactive read aloud? So they really get to talk about the how. What are those high leverage instructional strategies that will meet the needs of 80% or more of the students? And in what's been so exciting is in looking at the reflections, you'll see the teachers actually doing it here. They've sorted their piles and they're writing on their post-it notes right here. And then what they're doing during, we have something called data reflection times, but it can be done during grade level collaboration. It can be done alone in their own planning time or instructional leadership time. I'm going to go back to this actual process. It really allows them to focus on the how, and that's the piece that really is true collaboration. How often do we really talk about how we're going to deliver that instruction to ensure that all students learn? I think my time is wrapped up, huh, Dr. Heineman?
It is. Thank you, Kathy. You got a lot in there, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are going to switch now to Dr. Yesenia Alvarez. She's the principal of Hurley Elementary in Roland, USD.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And Dr. Heineman, can I share my screen as well? Perfect. And I'm going to set my timer here. I'm going to hopefully get, oops. There we go. I want to talk a little bit about our reading intervention and support systems at Hurley Elementary School. I've been there for about 7 years. And so this is the system that I thought would be good to discuss and just share a little bit about how we refined it, especially due to the pandemic and COVID and all the challenges we're all facing. And so the system itself is reading supports for all of our students in grades K through 6. It's a 30-minute block where the entire reading team at Hurley pushes into every grade level. And then that team consists of about 3 to 4 instructional assistants, our RT team, an impact teacher, and together with the grade level teachers, they provide a series of reading supports and interventions. And I'm going to share this document with you guys, and you have some links that show some sample schedules, what it looked like before COVID or BC, and then what it looks like now in 2022, and then some entrance and exit criteria for all the different levels of support that we provide. And so this is a system that's been developed over the years at Hurley, but we had to refine it, right? So the topic is, how do we refine this system? And so we really look at progress monitoring through our A through Z assessments and our F&P, the running records. And we found, kid you not, coming back from the pandemic, I only had 6 of 60 first graders reading on target. And so we were, not shocked, right? I'm sure we all experienced different levels of challenges for all of our cohorts, but it was incredibly shocking, right? And we knew that we needed to just do different with our reading practices and structures. And so this is one reason we needed to refine. And then something I just want to share is that think about your cohorts as a 7-year journey, right? Like grace and patience is so important for us as leaders because we're never going to get our work done within a year, right? Like the grade level team has a year, but us as leaders and support staff, we have 7 years with the cohort. And so that's really essential when you think about refining your systems. So what did we refine? We basically asked our instructional assistants to work a double block. So most of them work 3 hours in the morning. We asked them to continue working in the afternoon. Not everybody was able to. So then we reached out to the district and we said, hey, district, find me all the instructional aides that would like to work an additional 3-hour block in the afternoon. And so then we made that happen. We lost a lot of time due to the surge, right? The Omicron, nobody got to move anywhere. So all of our support services were kind of halted for 6 weeks. But then after that, which is now, we were able to give teachers voice and choice into who would be serviced, because we had to change the system, because we usually don't service upper grade because of CASP and LPAC toward the end of the year. But the teachers had voice and they said, nope, we're going to keep servicing them all the way through the end of the year. And so we were able to hire an intervention teacher, because the other challenge was the impact teacher, who's only a 3-hour employee. You can't find them. Hiring was super difficult, just like the sub situation. So we were able to hire an intervention teacher. So the doc is there for you to have as a resource. Feel free to reach out anytime, and thank you.
Thank you so much. What an organized system. You must be a type A personality.
Just like you, Dr. Heineman,
I
just
know,
like you.
I know. All right. In our last principal, we have Tracy Nualis from Crestwood Street STEM Magnet in LAUSD.
Hi, thank you. Well, so, you guys are doing amazing work and it's so impressive. I'm going to share my screen real quick here. And I think my time is going to be somewhat limited, but let me go ahead and start. One of the things that I want to let you know, and I'm putting this in my presentation, is that, while we're LA Unified, we're in this very unique bubble in LA Unified. I'm one of 2 schools in Rancho Palos Verdes. So I compete with a particular school district because my neighbors pay a lot of money for their homes and they go to this other district. But when I started thinking about the topic of so many things since we came back from the pandemic, that we had to redefine, we were defining all the time, but now we're redefining. It was parent engagement. And Cotsen really was a great resource for me to really stop and look at what do we need to do to engage our parents? Because first of all, I was recruiting them for enrollment, but an additional piece of this is that we are a stop and drop kind of school. People have to travel to us to attend my school. So they had to make some choices in a time when nobody really wanted to leave the house, right? And so I think about what Dr. Lee was talking about. We did the virtual home visits. We use all types of virtual tools like Class Dojo and Zoom and social media, Linktree, YouTube. You guys named them and done it, right? But then as we started to think, how do we get out into the community and really engage our families? We started attending our local farmers markets. We started to think about how can we walk outside of our gates beyond social media and start to see our families and engage them in a safe practice. So it started when we went back in April of last year. And this year we started off in August, really thinking about how are we going to refine this? And so one of the ideas from my team, they're really amazing, lots of Cotsen fellows, decided is we really need to just meet them at where they stop in the morning. So we decided to do something called Chalk Talk. And the reason why I decided to share this with you is because it was such a high impact, effective way to just get people out of their cars and finding purpose, to recognize that the school is a safe place. Of course, many of you probably think about your students that came back. They had to be reacclimated to social situations, right? So we really started talking about this. The staff came out, the parents came out, and one of the things we did is this curbside engagement. And with the curbside engagement, we also talked about when we get there, we want to let them know they're important to us. So one of our mentors said, let's just give them a gift. It was a simple gift, but the fact that they had to actually walk up and engage with us was a really positive impact. So we did our Chalk Talk. We had every other month, it seems like we're greeting them with a little gift, whether it's these cookies or some hot chocolate, and the team gets dressed up, comes out, so everybody feels very spirited. And then we started another series with Cotsen, and it was about literacy and thinking about how are you going to engage your family in the learning, like what Kathy was talking about with your families and your teachers. How do you get to them to think about the impact of data and looking at engaging your families? So one of the ideas was to get all their data, put it on a book bag, send it home on the day you have a literacy event, and then we can walk them through the process of how to really learn alongside their kids. But first we talked to the parents, and we did have them practice and all of the other facets that were talked about in different sessions today. But what I really want you to know is that whatever you're doing a great job, because we keep redefining our goals. We started with a vision board, and every month we have a plan to think of ways to have parent engagement. I hope I was within the time frame, you guys. I know that I was the last speaker, but if you have questions, please ask, and I will also put in my slides.
Thank you, Tracy. That was such a great ending to kind of leave us with a heartfelt way of connecting with our families and our communities. So thank you to these amazing principals and all the principals that attended today. We are each doing hard work every day, and it's so nice to be able to be in a space with all of you to see this amazing work that's happening. 20 minutes was way too short. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you so much to our presenters. Thank you.